Hello, and welcome to TV3 News Journal. I'm Carla Beard. The Glenwood Fire Department held their pancake and sausage breakfast Sunday, February 27th. We had a chance to stop in and talk to them about this annual event.
Today we have our annual pancake and sausage breakfast. This is our biggest one that we do, and then we try to do a chicken dinner later on in the year, like after harvest or something like that. But this is our biggest one and the biggest fundraiser we have.
So we do pretty much anything, with the community, as far as even like trees go down in the community in the road and it's blocking the road. We go in the middle of the night, cut those up and get them out of the road. Stuff like that. It's not all just fires. And volunteer firefighters are volunteers, okay? But they still have to have state training. They still have to be certified by the state. It's the same training, it's the same exact thing. It's just we don't get paid to do it, and we enjoy doing it.
Anytime that they are able to help a family out in a situation that's difficult, that there's a stressful event for them, it's not necessarily always helping a patient. Sometimes it's comforting a family during a loss or a traumatic event as far as losing your household or a family pet. Those are also things that they help people deal with.
We were affected by a fire back in April 21st, 2020.
We had a total loss.
You don't always know what's going to happen. For us, our fire alarms weren't going off until our roof was collapsing.
To me, it's very important to support the local volunteer firemen because these guys are out here every day doing something they don't have to do, but they choose to because they love to help people.
This is their time, their free time. So when tones go off, sometimes they're in the middle of something, be it church or a birthday, and they get up and leave their families to go help your family without really any consideration. They do this because they love to do it. They're not paid, they're not required. This is strictly a love of theirs to help people, and that's why they do it.
The NATCO Community Empowerment Center is offering free tax preparation at the Connection Cafe in downtown Connorsville. Reporter Sabrina Gavin spoke with Dana Sinclair about this service.
The NATCO Community Empowerment Center is part of what is called the VITA program, which is Voluntary Income Tax Assistance. We are a certified site, and we do taxes for free in Wayne County and here in Connorsville. We are in Connorsville every other Friday and one Saturday a month. The VITA program is focused on low-income and elderly populations, but we can provide taxes, basic taxes, to most anyone. What we cannot do is we do not do any farming. Though if you work for a farm and you get a W-2, we can do that. We do not do anyone with rental income. We cannot do active military pay, but we can do military retirement pay, and we can't do anybody that has income from overseas. You can contact our office, or you can go online at the NATCO website. My phone number at our office is 983-4766. You need your photo ID, and we get asked a lot of times, what if it's expired? Because a lot of people have expired IDs. I'm okay with it being expired as long as it's a photo ID. We get asked a lot, what if it has the wrong address? I'm okay with that as long as you can prove your address. So that part is not a problem. You want to bring any of your tax documents, W-2s, 1099s, 1099 NECs, which is non-employee compensation, any of those unemployment. And a lot of people have to go online to get that and print that off. You can't, they don't send it anymore. So any of those documentations, if you own your home, bring the amount of property tax you pay. If you rent, bring the amount of rent you paid and who you pay that to. Very appreciative of the Connection Cafe for allowing us to be in here and supporting them and them supporting us. That's one of the things that I love about my job is discovering new support systems out there, new resources out there, new information and education, and so that's what we're all about at the Empowerment Center.
TV3 News had an opportunity to visit the Fayette County Animal Shelter to see what animals are up for adoption. Here's more.
This is Athena. She is a Bernese Mountain mix. She is, I believe she'll be 1 or 2 in December, and she's about 50 to 60 pounds. She's definitely a cuddle bug whenever she gets used to you. She came in very shy at first, like she didn't want anybody near her. And now she's, as you can see, she's definitely grown out of her shell and loves to cuddle people whenever she gets a chance to do meet and greets. He is a real sweetheart. He is not fixed, but it does get included in the adoption fee. He's a very curious little fellow, and he likes to do a little trick in his kennel. If you see it, you'd have to be like very lucky to see it because he does it very rarely. We think he might be around 1 to 2 years old, maybe 3. He looks to be about 50 to 60 pounds like Athena. And he just, he likes to be very curious. He actually is the one that gets overlooked the most. He's been here as long or longer than Athena. And he just, I don't know, he's just a real sweetheart that deserves attention because everybody else just looks at all the other pretty dogs, and I think with his basic coat of brindle, nobody really goes for brindles anymore. So, but I think with the right person, they'll definitely want him.
Whitewater Adult Education offers several classes that are mostly no cost. Director Amy Engel told us more about this amazing local opportunity.
Here we have several classes that lead to a certification. Those certifications, called IETs, are at little or no cost to adult learners. They can take those classes while they're working on their high school diploma, or they're for anyone out there in Fayette County that are interested in skilling up. So we have QuickBooks, we have customer service and sales through the National Retail Federation. We have entry-level welding course, which is in high demand. We have the paraprofessional class, which is one that a student would use if they're interested in being a teacher's aide or substitute teacher, also in high demand in our area, as schools are in great need of those paraprofessionals to assist the teachers. And finally, we have a certified logistics technician course. And with all of the warehouses, and we've heard so much about supply chain, they would be a vital person to be in there in the warehouse to get those merchandise items in and out onto the trucks. I also want to point out that although we don't offer it, we're here in the same building with 160 Skills Driving Academy, and so someone interested in a CDLA, if they needed their high school diploma, they should see us, and then they should go see them in order to get that tremendously high-paying job.
Thank you for joining us this evening, and as always, we leave you with Brad Coulter, Looking Back.
Hi, I'm Brad Coulter, and this is Looking Back. Gene Worley was born May 15, 1933 in Connersville to Justice and Mabel Ball Worley. Justice was born in California and made his way to Connersville after serving in France in World War I. He served as a Connersville firefighter beginning in 1922 and worked for the city at the wastewater plant under the Glenn Henderson administration. Gene's mother was the granddaughter of George Washington Ball of the Mount Zion area in Jackson Township. The area they lived in was then called Balltown. Gene said he remembered their old cabin. Gene's 3 times great-grandfather was Robert Hood, and he was a veteran of the War of 1812. He even named his oldest son after Andy Jackson. The Hoods were some of Indiana's first settlers. Robert Hood lived to be 98 years old and is buried in Knolltown Cemetery. Longevity ran in the family as his daughter, Mrs. George Washington Ball, lived to be 95 years at her death in 1923, and many family members lived into their 90s. Gene's mother, Mabel, even lived to be 100 years old. She had operated a neighborhood grocery in the 30th Street area. When Gene was in high school, he knew his number was coming up to be drafted during the Korean War, even though it was winding down, so he enlisted. He was in the United States Air Force. He was drawn to the effort as he had lost his best friend and cousin, Jackie Worley, just 3 months before. He felt he should do his part. He signed up for gunnery school, but because the conflict was ending, he was sent to become a flight engineer. He was trained at Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas. He spent some time on KC-97s in Florida and eventually ended up on the southern tip of Greenland. Bluey West 1 was an important refueling stop and a link on the way to Europe and North Africa during World War II, and continued during Gene's service time until 1958 when it ceased operation. The horrible Arctic climate there was challenging, and tugboats would periodically pull icebergs out of the bay near the runways. His time there was spent on classified submarine warfare with the Russians, and they were constantly tracking Soviet positions. He once was even called on to help track sleigh sightings from the North Pole at Christmas time. He said that his time in the service made all things possible for him. He learned to take and give orders and get along with others. At the end of 4 years' service, Gene came home and shortly went to work for Public Service Indiana, where he spent 37 years as a lineman. It wasn't long before Gene was back in the air. He got his pilot's license in the 70s and was a flight instructor for the Connersville Airport. His real calling was his time on the Board of Aviation for the city of Connersville, and he was incredibly involved with many improvements there. Working with former Congressman Lee Hamilton, the airport was given funding for a sophisticated instrument landing system, ILS. Later, when Gene was president of the board, over 1,500 feet of runway extensions and taxiways, also new hangars were added. Gene served as board president for over 25 years and was considered the foremost authority and advocate for Meadow Field. Gene died in May of 2021, and a celebration of his life was held at the airport just like he wanted it. He is greatly missed in the community.